Good afternoon and welcome to Plant Powered Meals, Thrifty and Delicious. I'm Julie England. I'm with University of Florida IFAS Extension in Seminole County. So before we get started, this is the third part of our three-part series on Easy Prep, Fabulous Flavor. And wanted to let you know that we are going to do another series starting on May 12th. The schedule is tentative. What we're going to do when, we've already decided that we're going to move grilling up before Memorial Day, but there'll be more on that soon, and we'll send you the registration link. Registration is now open, so we will send you the link. All right, just a little bit of information on who we are and what we do. All the presenters and team members are part of the University of Florida IFAS Extension. We're the outreach down from the University of Florida down to the local level, and IFAS, which stands for the Institute in Food and Agricultural Science, includes teaching, research, and extension. And we're part of Extension, and all 67 counties have an Extension presence, and most have a family and consumer science agent, which is what who our team members are, except for Dr. Wendy Dahl, who's with in Gainesville. She's an associate professor and extension specialist in the Food Science and Human Nutrition Department. Also on the team, Julie England in Seminole County, Wendy Lynch in Putnam County, Marie Eric, who is in Liberty County and is also a 4-H agent and the county extension director, and Sarah Ellis, who is based in Citrus County. For those of you who are new to Zoom, probably not, since it seems like everybody's Zooming these days. You should see a chat box. Be sure if you enter a chat, you can put in questions or comments. You can send to all panelists or to panelists and attendees. So you just put it there and hit it, and the links to the handouts are in the chat box. And they were also in your last reminder email if you don't get a chance to download them. All right, and you will also be getting a short evaluation sent later today. And I added one question to that, is related to our new series, if you would prefer for it to be presented at 12 p.m. or 2 p.m. So we'd appreciate you answering that as well. Or if you have no opinion on that, that's fine as well too. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Wendy Dahl, who is our first speaker on Plant-Powered Meals, Thrifty and Delicious. You should have mouse control, Wendy.
Thank you, Julie. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to test my mouse control here. Oh, there. Okay. So why do we want to choose plant-based meals? Our topic today is plant-powered meals. And so one of the things that I just wanted to mention is that more and more the research is supporting that health benefits are seen from a combination of healthy foods, particularly dietary patterns that include plant-based foods. And so these health benefits seem to be synergistic, so there's much more health benefits that you can get from a variety of foods versus focusing on individual, like so-called superfoods, or especially more health benefits than food components like supplements. And so we promote plant-based dietary patterns that emphasize whole grains, fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, and healthy oils to decrease the risk of chronic disease. And so that could be cardiovascular disease, risk of developing type 2 diabetes, brain health, or even like kidney disease. And so the most highly researched dietary patterns are the Mediterranean dietary pattern, there's the DASH diet, and also, of course, vegetarian diets. If my mouse doesn't seem to be working here, okay. So one of the things plant-based diet is the old habits die hard. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about where I've come in terms of moving from the traditional diet that I consume to more of a plant-based diet. And so my background, I come from a farm, and so breakfast, lunch, and dinner did meat. And so there was really very few vegetables on our plates. Perhaps potatoes was always there, but very few greens, very few vegetables. And so over the years, it has been a bit of a struggle to have those old habits die hard. And a saying that's much older than the song that was recorded by the Rolling Stones in 2004, I think. But expect that maybe some of you might be having the same sort of struggles, or have family members that really want to see the meat on every dinner table. So, whoops. So what are we proposed? Oh, we've got lots of problems going on with the mouse, sorry. Okay, are we proposing big changes? Are we asking or recommending that we move away from grilling meats and moving towards eating tofu every night? And that's definitely not what we're promoting, but we're promoting small changes to increase the amount of plant-based choices and perhaps decreasing portion sizes of meat. And so we definitely don't necessarily have to start having green juice for meals and tofu. So one of the things that I've seen that's been quite successful with individuals is taking small steps towards changing their habits. And so that's looking at the dinner plate and looking at dividing it in quarters and having the protein portion provide about a quarter of that plate, and having vegetables provide half that plate, and other plant sourced foods another quarter of the plate. And so that is a small step towards moving towards a plant-based diet. So one of the topics that I really have been involved with for a number of years are pulses. So pulses are beans, peas, and lentils. And so many of the plant-based foods that you find in the supermarket are often made from soy. And soy's great, but a lot of those products are fairly expensive and they're quite processed. And so there is definitely room to add the beans, peas, and lentils to increase the plant proteins that you're having in your diet. And one of the advantages of pulses is that they're low cost, nutrient-dense foods. The cost of pulses really per 100 calories is about the same as fats and oils, and fats and oils actually are very inexpensive for the calories you get from them. And so pulses are much less expensive than many fruits and vegetables, and perhaps are less expensive than processed soy foods. So some of the resources that we'd like to bring your attention to are from Pulse Canada. So a lot of beans, peas, and lentils are grown in Canada and also grown in northern United States. And so here are some cookbooks, Cooking with Pulses, and also Pulses and the Gluten-Free Diet. Also, the North Dakota State University has a lot of really good recipes using pulses. And so those are some of the resources that you can refer to. So top 10 ways to eat pulses. And so let's go through these and see if these are some of the things that you might consider in your dietary pattern. So number 1, to include cooked black or white or other beans in an omelet to add both protein and fiber. Number 2, you could add whole or pureed lentils to your spaghetti sauce. And this is actually one of my favorites. You can stretch that pound of ground beef very far if you add some lentils in, and I don't even puree them. I just have them either canned or cooked and whole and add to the sauce. But if you want to hide them from your family, definitely go ahead and puree them. Adding lentils to quesadillas, mixing black beans into your favorite salsa, using pureed lentils or other beans as a spread for sandwiches. Adding cooked pulses to soups, that's really easy. You can even use canned soups and extend them by adding some canned pulses to those. When making your favorite pizza, you can add perhaps a handful of black beans to that. You can replace the butter or oil when baking with lentil puree. And you can include chickpeas into your favorite salad. I think lots of people do that already. And of course, you can serve hummus with vegetables. What wasn't on the top 10 ways here was my very favorite way of using pulses, and these are lentil chocolate chip cookies, my personal favorite. And so if anyone's interested in that recipe, I definitely will send it to you. So one of the things that I wanted to caution is that pulses require special preparation, at least some of them do, because beans and most of the peas contain nutritional properties. And so there's two different categories of these anti-nutrient factors, and the first one is the non-protein anti-nutritional factors, the alkaloids, phytic acid, saponins, and there's some phenolic compounds. Those are mostly harmless, and actually some of them may have some health-enhancing properties. But there's also these protein anti-nutritional factors, the lectins, trypsin inhibitors. Trypsin is what we need. It's our digestive enzyme to digest protein, other inhibitors, and these are mostly harmful, and they can be quite harmful. So for instance, raw kidney beans can be very dangerous. And so what we need to do is we need to properly soak these beans to lessen the anti-nutritional properties of the beans. One thing to remember is that all canned beans, peas, lentils, all of them are safe. So they've already gone through that process of soaking and cooking, so they're totally safe. And so there's two different methods of soaking. There is the long, cold, overnight soak, and then there is the quick soak. And so here's the procedures here. So about 12 hours for a long cold soak, and it definitely speeds it up if you do a quick soak. So you bring the pulses to boil, let them boil for a couple of minutes, remove them from heat, cover, and let stand for an hour. And then you want to discard that water. That's a really important thing to remember, that when you're doing the soaking, don't use that water for anything, discard it. And there's also a microwave soak method. And this is just a quick look at the cooking methods and times for dry pulses, because often dry pulses, people might not want to consider using them because of the time it takes to cook them. Of course, canned ones are instant, so you can use them in any recipe without any further preparation, but this gives you an idea of some of the cooking time. So yeah, an hour and a half for many of them. You can see that split peas and lentils cook very quickly, and those are also the ones that do not require a pre-soak. So you can see no soaking for split peas, whole lentils, and split lentils. And if you were to use the pressure cooker, then of course it only takes minutes to cook these, and it also provides you with some yield, so you'll have an idea of what you're going to have after you prepare them. So another resource that I'd like to make available to everybody is a cookbook that we worked on. Actually, we worked on it a number of years ago. It's Beans Made Easy, and just recently we've now translated it into Spanish. And with this COVID-19 and so much stay at home, and the many individuals that have suffered some, for instance, job loss and some economic challenges, we're going to actually bring this cookbook back to life, and we're going to have it online in just a few days. And what this cookbook does is it's definitely not gourmet cooking. That's what it's not. But what it does do is gives you some recipes that can be used when there's not much left in the cupboards. And so there's some ideas for appetizers, very, very quick soups and salads, side dishes, main dishes like black bean burgers, curried garbanzos, and desserts where you can actually use a brownie mix and black beans and make a nice large pan of brownies. And so it's a way of using canned beans to stretch some of the products that some of the food items that we actually might have in the cupboard. And so that's just a recommendation to save money and to be able to use up some of those cans of beans in your cupboard. So small steps to putting pulses on the menu. One of the things we could do is serve traditional bean meals more often, choose a pulse-based dinner once a week, or perhaps even a pulse-based dinner that might be for instance, half ground beef and half lentils, and so you've got the pulses at least halfway there. If need be, you could sneak them into cookies, into spaghetti sauce, that sort of thing. And you could choose pulse snacks, desserts, and smoothies. And we do have an EDIS publication here, an online publication that gives some recipes for some surprisingly delicious desserts that you can make with pureed lentils. And now I'll turn it over to Wendy Lynch.
Alrighty, hold on just a second, Wendy, while I give you mouse control.
Righty.
All right, should be there.
All right, so let's see if I can turn, not we will. There we go. All right, so as Wendy was sharing about the different pulses, as we all know, shopping looks a little different right now. And one thing for me that came up when I was shopping was how many cans of beans I could actually purchase during one shopping trip. And with pulses being one of my personal major sources of protein, I realized that I needed to look into purchasing dry beans and maybe freezing some for backup plan, because I was only allowed to buy 2 cans per trip. While I do love the cans for convenience, however, I started looking at the cost and the ability to control the sodium, and I started to view that shopping experience that I had really as an opportunity to reduce my spending and improve the nutrient content of a lot of my meals. So on this slide, you see, okay, so let's say we're aiming for 6 cups of cooked beans. So to get that amount from cans, you're going to need about 4 16-ounce cans or a 1 pound bag of dry beans. And so if you look at the 4 cans, I just looked at 2 different stores and did the comparison. So it ranged for 4 cans between $2.60 to $6.48. And that was for the 4 cans versus 99 cents for the bag through, or 99 cents to $1.39. So for me, just for that 6 cups of beans, that could have saved me $1.61 to $5.09, which is, it would add up over time. And we're going to try to go to the next slide.
If you end up having continued problems, I can flip slides for you.
Okie doke, we'll give it a go. So for the next part, we're going to move into some more resources. I know Wendy already shared quite a few already on pulses, but I've got a load more for you. But as we move into this section, I wanted to share the American Heart Association. They described plant-based eating as plant forward, a style of cooking and eating that emphasizes plant-based foods, but isn't strictly limited to them. So kind of like what Wendy was saying earlier, and how meat can be included, but it's usually not the main feature of the meal. And so as we go into kind of the how to get started of plant-based eating, remember, you can eat plants in a variety of different ways: raw, cooked, steamed, sauteed, roasted, and I'm sure you guys could probably throw in a ton of different ways to prepare plant-based foods in the chat box. So what's in season? So I know a lot of us use this so we can get foods at a better cost. Also, they're going to be more flavorful. So to figure out what is in season in your area, there's 3 different websites here that I'm sharing with you. So in the top left-hand corner, that's going to be the USDA website. And down below that is the Produce for Better Health Foundation, what's in season. And so if you're, because I know a lot of us are coming from different parts of the United States. So check those websites, see what's available. Also on the right-hand side, if you're from Florida, that's from FDACS, our Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. And they have really colorful handouts. You could post it on your fridge for the month. Also, they have one that does cover all 12 months as well to check out what's in season to get you started. Hey, Julie, do you mind? I think I'm going to go ahead and pass that back to you if I could. Great. So part of USDA's Choose My Plate resources is the 5-way series. And so when you're selecting plant-based foods, on the previous slide with the broccoli, think of I want you to think of ways that you could use this one particular piece of whatever food it is, a plant-based food that you're eating. Eat a variety of meals, including breakfast, snacks, lunch, and dinner. How could you use it in each of those meals? So just think, you'll be reducing food waste, increasing your nutrient content of your meals. So on the previous slide with the infographic of the broccoli, so in that one, I know we're on brown rice now, but if you look in your slide set, your handout, you'll see it had recipes for, or suggestions for cream of broccoli soup, a bread bake, magic crust quiche. That just sounds delicious because it says magic. Broccoli and corn bake, and mac and cheese with broccoli. So when you're purchasing, think about, okay, I'm not just going to purchase this for one side dish or one meal. Think of ways that you can use it throughout the day. All right, I'm ready for that brown rice infographic now. So in the next infographic, and it's again a part of that USDA's Choose My Plate resource, the 5-way series. So you can see the full infographic on the left, and I just blew it up on the right-hand side. In this one, we've got fried rice, Caribbean casserole, fiesta rice, salad. There's cheesy broccoli rice squares and black bean burgers. And think of plant-based foods, really, I mean, they could be fillers. So like the grains in this example, and really you could use a variety of plant-based foods. So it could be quinoa, couscous, farro, and it doesn't have to be just grain foods. You could add extra veggies, which is always a plus. And don't forget about those pulses Wendy was talking about as well. I know when we were chatting about or preparing for the presentation, Wendy shared, you know, lentils are really great for meat extenders. The next one is my favorite in the series for the USDA Choose My Plate resources, and it's all about peaches. So 5 ways with peaches. Grilled cheese with peaches, peach cooler, rise and shine cobbler, yes please, chicken salad and peach sandwich, and a peach sauce. So there's so much you can do with that. And let's say if you you already made all the peach recipes that you were going to make, you can always freeze your peaches. All right, next slide. So the next slide, when it pops up, it's the My Plate recipes. So all of the recipes that were mentioned on the previous 3 slides with the infographic, this is the site that you're going to find it on. So, and all of these are going to be on that last slide that we have today. You'll see it in your handout. So all of these links will be available to you. So one thing to note on this one is that the site rather is still being updated. So you may not find it super easy to navigate. However, if you just jump into that search, type in one of those recipes, especially those peach ones, because they were delicious, type it right in there and it will pop up for you. You can select recipes based on meal type on this website, main dishes, sides, sandwiches. You can have a nutrition focus. Maybe you want to increase your fruits and veggies or your whole grains. You can even sort by kitchen equipment on this site, cuisine, and even by cost. They also have a YouTube channel for My Plate Kitchen Recipes. And last week they had about 16 videos on that one posted. The next site or resource we want to provide you is the Produce for Better Health Foundation. And so on the Produce for Better Health Foundation website, they have an option on this first tab. Let's see if it'll go. There it is. So on that first, look at the top of the header and you see it's got fruits and veggies. If you click that, it's going to list out fruits and vegetables A through Z. And then it's going to tell you how to select it, how to store it, what the nutrition benefits. The USDA website has that information as well, but very simple, clearly laid out here. Then on the third tab where I've got it circled for recipes, on the next slide, I'm going to show you how colorful and beautiful these recipes look. They have recipe options on this Produce for Better Health Foundation that are quick and easy, 30 minutes or less. They've got 5 ingredients or less. budget cooking. And then what you can do on the next slide is if you click on one of the recipes, it will pop up and it'll give you, for example, like the hummus and feta sweet peppers. It will have all the information, the ingredient list, just a really nice, ooh, you can even save it to your favorite website, email it, print it. But just a really great resource for you to get some plant-based recipes. And if you notice the thumbs up icon, and I don't know if you guys are doing your thumbs up right now because I am, these are kid tested, mom approved. So for those who have kiddos at home with you right now, these might be some fun ones to have the kids help in the kitchen. Okay, next slide, please. Thanks for hanging in with us, you guys. We're having some slide changing delays. Here we go.
Big time delays. Sorry about that.
It's because everybody's Zooming, right? So the next one is the American Heart Association website. And on this one, this particular site, you can search recipes by meal type, such as like appetizers, budget friendly. You can search by main dishes, slow cooker, salads, quick and easy, and then even by ingredient. So this would be really helpful when you have leftover produce or let's say a plant-based ingredient. Do a search and see what pops up so you can actually use it instead of having any type of food waste. So the next one is, well, this one's all about North Dakota State University Extension. Someone had mentioned about the pulses earlier, and our colleague, Dr. Julie Garden Robinson, has this part of her site that is dedicated to pulses. So there's, on the right-hand side, you can see it's going to provide you with a list of different recipes that include pulses. And that link is down below, but I believe it's also on that last resource page as well.
It is, and let me, Wendy, it's Julie. Let me just interrupt and mention for those of you who are interested in quantity recipes, the North Dakota State also has a link for recipes if you're cooking like for a group home or any sort of quantity cooking. So that's always kind of a nice plus too, besides the regular places, besides the regular, family size recipes.
Next up, and this is our last resource we want to share with you today, because I think this will give you quite a few to start with, but this is Old Ways, and this site is going to provide you with information following a Mediterranean diet eating pattern. On this one, you can search by different types of diets based on tradition or culture, your dietary needs. It's even broken down by course, so soups, appetizers, mains, sides. Recipes are also searchable by meal. So breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And then you can also search by affordability, special occasions, and my favorite, quick and easy. All right.
Big on that quick and easy too.
I love it.
And
so today we've given you a snapshot of plant-powered meals, the types of dietary patterns that it supports, how to get started, benefits, preparation methods for pulses, how to start including more plant-based foods into your daily intake. And we have given you a slew of recipe resources and links to food prep videos just to get you started. Tons of recipes there.
So before we go back to our question slide, just want to mention that this link's in your handout. So it should have all the links. And for a couple questions from people, you will get to, I will send you, it'll come in a day. You'll get an email from Zoom that will have a link to the recording if you came in late. And it will also have a link to the handout again. And we will get Wendy Dahl's Lindell chocolate chip cookie recipe as well, since it seems that there were a lot of questions wanting that as well. And so with that, for Wendy and Marie, who are minding the chat box, what questions do we have?
Okay, so one of them, which Wendy Lynch hit on, was is pulse a new term? And then also for Wendy Dahl, do you have like a spaghetti sauce recipe or a soup recipe? Because you were talking about amending or putting a lot of different lentils or black beans in.
Well, definitely there is recipes on the links we provided, but you can even use a commercial spaghetti sauce and simply add the lentil puree or just the boiled lentils or canned lentils right into that spaghetti sauce with and without your ground beef, and it should work just fine.
So also, one of the other questions, especially if you're looking to increase your fiber intake, so the utilization of pulses, amending your recipes with pulses would assist with that, but you also would be getting protein, is that correct? And then also be saving some money if you're using dried beans.
That's definitely correct. Yeah, some of those, like for instance, the low income recipe book really stretches things, and so with a couple of dollars or even less than a couple of dollars that the can of beans would cost, you can add that protein, add that fiber, and double what you have for very little cost.
Those were all the questions that I had.
I just saw another one that says the soaking lentils and beans reduce the protein content. No, no, the protein content stays the same in the beans and the lentils. It just helps to remove the anti-nutrients, and there's low levels of those, but even though some of them are made from protein, it won't change the protein content of the food.
I just want to point out that I'm not necessarily the biggest legume eater, but yeah, I know. But putting lentils in with rice, for those of you who aren't that big into legumes or just starting to try to add them, if you mix lentils in when you make your brown rice, it adds protein, and they actually taste really good. And I will also eat black bean brownies, and I'm waiting next time I see Wendy for her to make me some lentil chocolate chip cookies.
And I think that me using the word pulse has been new to lots of people today, and so I think there was a response that I would agree with, that pulse that term has been around for a while, but just recently it's really being used a lot more to separate, I guess, the legumes, like for instance soy-based foods versus what we call these grain legumes, which are more starchy and more versatile, perhaps.
And also, Wendy, we'll get the link out. I'll get the link from you for the Beans Made Easy cookbook. If it doesn't come out with our email tomorrow with other resources, I'll make sure that we get it out to people who attended.
Great, thank you.
Wendy, I don't know if you saw the one question about in diabetic diets, are pulses a protein or a carb?
That's an excellent question. They do contain some carbohydrate, and so then they need to be counted, but not. They don't. It's a tough question because they're kind of halfway. They're halfway. They contribute a bit of the starch and also the protein. So the best way to count them is to really look at how many grams of carbohydrate they provide. And if that individual wants to contact me directly, I can give a much more thorough answer to that question.
All right. So if there are not any more